We're now going to take a look at the notes for the metric system and include in that the discussion of precision and accuracy as we're taking measurements during our science labs. Please make sure you have your notes in front of you and something to write with. So scientists use the metric system whenever they measure. A scientist measures length by using a meter stick. Okay, a lot of times y'all want to call it a yardstick. This is the difference between the metric system and the imperial system. Okay, we're using the metric system. This is going to include centimeters, meters, such like that, rather than inches, feet, yards. Okay, so we use a meter stick, not a yardstick, a meter stick when we're measuring length. The meter is the unit on a meter stick, so that entire length of the meter stick would be 1 meter. Some other common length units include centimeters and kilometers. We're going to see as part of the metric systems that the prefixes that are used make this system a lot more simple. So if you notice in each of these units you can see the word meter, and the difference would be the prefix that's included, whether it be centi for centimeters or kilo for kilometers. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. We're going to discuss what those prefixes mean. Okay, so we've discussed how scientists measure length. Now we're going to discuss how scientists measure mass. Okay, mass is similar to the weight of an item. So when you've discussed finding something's weight before, this is very similar. Okay, we call it mass in science, and you use a triple beam balance to find the mass of an object. Now the gram is the unit for mass. So when we had the meter for length, now we have the gram for mass. Some other common mass units include centigrams and milligrams. Next, we're going to talk about how scientists measure volume. Volume is the space that something takes up. So I want you to go ahead and make a side note next to this area. I want you to put volume equals space. Okay, so that just kind of tells you that we're looking for the space that that organism is going to take up, or that object. And then we're talking about volume. We measure that using a graduated cylinder. Okay, the liter is the unit for our volume, and some other common volume units include milliliters and kiloliters. So I told you about the prefixes that were used when we were talking about centimeters and milligrams. The metric system is very simple because of this. We can all use the same prefixes and just change the unit that we're discussing about, and we can have this common language. So you need to know all these prefixes. Make flashcards if you need to, write them down a bunch of times. As long as you can remember these prefixes, that's going to do a lot of the work for you. Okay? So a kilo means 1,000 times that unit. So a kilogram would be 1,000 times a gram. So 1,000 grams would be a kilogram, 1,000 times. Going the other direction, 1/1000th would be milli. Okay, so kilo is taking that one unit and multiplying it times 1,000. Milli is taking that one unit and dividing it by 1,000. Okay, and 1/100th would be centi. So let's look at meters. Okay, so 1,000 times a meter, so that would be 1,000 of those meter sticks put end to end would be a kilometer, kilometer. If we took that same meter stick and divided it into 1,000 tiny little pieces, that would be a millimeter. If we took that meter stick and instead of dividing it by 1,000, divided it by 100, that would be a centimeter. I encourage you sometime to grab a meter stick and look at the little notches for millimeters and centimeters and see how those all fit together. That it's 1/100th if it's a centimeter and it's 1/1000th if it's a millimeter. Okay, so we're going to run through some practice questions, seeing if you can use the best metric measurement for each unit. Okay, so let's look at the question here. The length of a river. So would you measure the length of a river as 17 centimeters, 25 miles, 25 kilometers, or 65 liters? Okay, so we're measuring length. So you need to look at the units that are offered there. Okay, so we have centimeters, miles, kilometers, and liters. Right away, you should be able to eliminate 65 liters because that does not measure length. So now we're left with centimeters, miles, and kilometers. The next part of the question is that it asks the best metric measurement. So which one can you eliminate right now? You should be thinking that you can eliminate miles because miles is not a metric measurement. So now that leaves us with centimeters and kilometers. So think about what each of those mean. Remember, a centimeter has the prefix centi. That would be 1/100th of a meter stick. So 17 centimeters is very tiny. 25 kilometers would be a much longer length. So if we're looking at the length of a river, the best answer would be 25 kilometers. Okay, I want you to take a second and look at the options here for the mass of a penny. Maybe refer back to your notes to see what the unit was for mass, and then select the best answer. Okay, you should have selected 3.1 grams. Grams is the metric measurement for mass, and the penny is 3.1 grams. Next would be the length of a photo. We're talking about just a normal size photograph here. Okay, so look at your answers and pause the video and then come back once you've answered. Okay, hopefully you said that a normal size photo should be 10 centimeters. This is actually a really small photo if you're talking about 10 centimeters, but it's the best answer out of all of them.